Well, desperate times call for desperate measures. So when you don't get your drag car done for Hot Rod Drag Week, you obviously take your backup car. But what do you do days before you gotta leave?
You throw nitrous on it. Duh.
So the bottle's mounted. This is where the spare tire goes. This is what we got ahead of us. We have a pump that needs to be installed. We got the 2 solenoids that need to be installed and wired up. Here's the plate that I'm about to install. There's also a purge kit. There's a bottle heater that are gonna be wired up into relays. As far as the engine compartment goes, I did install new injectors. So if you're wondering, I'm running a Nitrous Express kit with a 10-pound bottle. Let me show you a reason why I really don't like working on these things. So not too long ago, you saw me install that nitrous plate. As I was doing that, the bits fell inside that pulley. Amazing. Oh yeah, and that wrench just fell down there. So yeah, that should be fun to retrieve. Yeah, so here's the best part. I got it free, it's gone, but it didn't hit the floor. So I think it went from this pulley onto the next pulley. So we might actually have to pull the motor to get that Allen key out. All right, so it's the next day. I worked all night pulling that motor and I still didn't. Are you serious? It was there the whole time? I found it. It's actually still in that pulley. I've been probing around with this thing for the last like 10 minutes, more like 20, probably 30. And I was at the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm probably gonna have to just pull the water pump. But I finally see a light at the end of the tunnel. All right, so if you look real closely, right in the center of the screen, guess what you see? That is an unbelievable sign of relief. There's 2 brackets for the fuel and the nitrous solenoids. And that's what they look like. I'm definitely not used to having this thing. I was about to grab the drill to enlarge this hole a little bit, and I completely forgot. Guess who has a drill press now? So that made life a lot easier. Boom. So yeah, at this point, I'm basically just mocking stuff up. The nitrous plate is in there. I thought I had an issue with these 2 cables last night, and then after talking to my buddy Luis from Creative Street Designs, he told me that there is a plate exactly for this purpose. Now, when I looked at those plates, I was like, what are these for? Well, now I know. A couple of updates. I got a relief valve installed on there. I got my pressure gauge installed on the tank. So this thing is ready to go get filled. Here's what's happening under the hood. The nitrous solenoid is all plumbed up. The purge solenoid is all plumbed up. I already have the purge line bent. That's going to be installed later. The fuel solenoid is all in. It's tapped into this fuel rail here. The next thing that's about to go on is I had to adapt this switch. I had to cut it down, I had to bend it. Also, this bracket was supplied with the kit to move all this stuff forward since we're putting this plate in and pushing everything forward. This wide open throttle switch is going to get mounted there, and once we hit wide open throttle, if you listen, there you go. That's a little bit of nitrous juice going into the motor there. So once that switch is in, it's a matter of wiring everything up to relays, running all the wires inside the car and putting in a switch panel there. Just in case you guys are wondering what it is like to be friends with me, hey Johnny, how long have we not seen each other?
A year.
A year. So how's it been?
Great.
Now get to work. Woo, I'm a little loopy. It's been a fun journey. Nothing fit. The pump bottom housing didn't fit. The top housing didn't fit. The connector was wrong. Since the base was so thick on this new pump, I ended up having to split this in half to widen it out. This one, you're probably not gonna be able to see it, but I had to Dremel a little bit in there for that whole connector deal to come through. And since the connectors were wrong, I ended up just having to put butt connectors on. Basically ready to go in. I just gotta put the filter back on. Moving along. All right, so hours ago, the fuel pump got installed. And now I'm having the fun of Spaghetti Junction. But let me show you how I kind of do things. Let me know in the comments, overboard or the right way to do it. A little bit of solder on there, a little bit of heat shrink. That's what I'm talking about. So it's the next day. This is all almost wired. Tomorrow, I have to leave for Hot Rod Drag Week. And this is kind of where we're at. Everything's wired up in the front. I have here, this is for the bottle heater. These are for the 2 solenoids and the purge valve. The maximizer is all wired in. Got everything running behind where the computer is going to be. As far as soldering all the connections, the 2 that you saw me do last night were the only ones that I did because honestly, I forgot I had these, and these are heat shrink also, and I just don't have the time to solder every single connection here. I would say it still looks pretty freaking decent. So here's my 3 wires. One of them is for the main toggle switch. The other one is for the purge solenoid. and this big boy is going to run to the bottle heater. This is going to go to the back. The small ones are going to go along there, and I have a nice little panel that I picked up that's going to go in that little cigarette holder or whatever you want to call it. But eventually I'm going to put this panel where the ashtray is. Still got to cover this up, still got to top off the gear oil in the back, still got to do an oil change, still got to fix the windows on both sides, still got to install speakers. Nah, no rush at all. Just got about 12 hours if I want to get any type of sleep. I've even considered installing the bottle heater at the track on day 0, but I don't know. We'll see how far we get. So I think that's going to be a good spot for it, right where that white mark is. It's 9:30 at night. We're supposed to leave in the morning. Ain't happening. There's no way. Nitrous under the hood is 100% done. I still have to run some wires to the switch, wires to the back where the bottle is. I'm working on the blow off tube. I got to top off the differential. I'm doing an oil change. Yeah. I'm most likely going to be putting this thing together on the track. The goal for tonight is just to get this thing drivable so we can actually pack it up and get on our way.
Yo, I'm so stressed out that my freaking hair fell out.
It's Saturday morning. We probably should have left 2 hours ago. I was up pretty late last night getting the tune in order with my buddy Luis. So we kind of got that in order. We got one more tune to put in. All right, so here's the things that I'm gonna have to do with the track. So blow down tube is good. This is all mounted in place. Feed line is good to go. I still need to wire up a relay for the heater. There's the heater. As far as this, for now, I'm just going to wrap all these up, put this trim piece back in, put this car kind of back together. The windows work finally. And all this stuff is buttoned up here besides these battery wires that I'm not going to hook up yet. Well, we made it. It's 4:21 in the morning. I'm delirious. What do you do when you're rained out on day 0 of drag week? Well, you go back to your room and you start wiring up your nitrous switch.